Okay, this is still chapter 1 of Dr. Michael Savage's Trickle Up Poverty, and this part is now called Power Corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We all know Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is a bit off. This woman is so intoxicated with her own power that she runs around Washington like a despot. Don't get me wrong, my intention isn't to tarnish Madame Pelosi's reputation. She's already done a first-class job of that. Her behavior speaks for herself. Take, for example, the matter of her commanding military jets for her family's use, in which she flew her daughter, son-in-law, and grandson to a private event. Okay, if that had happened one time because there wasn't... Okay, if that had happened one time because there weren't seats left on Southwest flight, fine. But it wasn't once. Not twice. Not 3 times. Amazingly, in just a 2-year period, Pelosi's family flew on military jets 31 times. Details of this corruption are staggering. According to records obtained by the Judicial Watch organization, Nancy Pelosi was repeatedly misusing U.S. Air Force aircraft for personal use to the tune of $2,100,477.59 in just 2 years. That price tag includes $101,429 for in-flight expenses such as food and alcoholic beverages. You might want to read that again. This autocrat is running an open bar in the sky at your expense. One particularly outrageous trip happened on May 15th through 20, 2008, in which Madame Pelosi and friends flew from Washington, D.C. to Baghdad via Tel Aviv. Just look at the beverages Pelosi, several members of Congress, and their spouses ordered. Johnny Walker Red Scotch, Grey Goose Vodka, E&J Brandy, Bailey's Irish Cream, Maker's Mark Whiskey, Cuvars... I can't read it. It's French. Cognac, Bacardi Light Rum, Jim Beam Whiskey, Beefeater Gin, Dewars Scotch, Bombay Sapphire Gin, Jack Daniels Whiskey, Corona Beer, and several bottles of wine. What the hell was she throwing? A Mardi Gras party? Judicial Watch reported that this trip cost American taxpayers $17,931 per hour. And that was just for the aircraft. Are you beginning to get the picture? Not only does Madame Pelosi expect the sheeple to pick up the tab for her exorbitant, wasteful, and improper spending, she is dishonorable enough, which is dishonorable enough. But let's not forget that members of the U.S. Air Force were being forced to serve as personal escorts for her and her kin instead of engaging the enemy. They should be flying reconnaissance missions over Tehran instead of flying babysitting missions over Akron. Isn't the country at war with Muslim fascists who want to convert us or kill us? People understand this. Not Pelosi. She's cavorting in the skies in military jets without regard for the troops on the ground in Afghanistan. Tell me that's not the epitome of elitism. Somewhere a Marine dies while Pelosi flies. The people are angered by her sheer arrogance. When it comes to health care, as you'll see in chapter 5, Pelosi's prescription was to ram a government plan down our throats whether the American people wanted it or not. The fact of the matter is that the majority of Americans, a full 61%, think Obama's plan should be scrapped. Dumped into the Potomac River. There's a number of reasons why they want Congress to go back to square one. They want lawyers stopped with caps on medical lawsuits. They don't want the feds telling them which doctors to use. They don't want the feds nosing around in their medical files. They don't want the feds telling them which medical procedures to have. They don't want illegal aliens getting free medical care. And they most certainly don't want to be fined for non-compliance. And yet, the voice of the people has fallen on deaf ears where Madam Pelosi is concerned. Listen to how this harridan thinks. Quote, "We will go through the gate. If the gate is closed, we will go over the fence. If the fence is too high, we will pole vault in it. If that doesn't work, we will parachute in. But we are going to get health care reform passed for the American people, for their own personal health and economic security, for the important role that it will play in reducing the deficit." If Pelosi had as much passion for killing Al-Qaeda as she has for killing our freedom of choice, with her health care bill, the Democrats' approval ratings would have soared 30% overnight. Her passion is misplaced. It's backfiring. Her zeal to pass socialized medicine has awakened the middle class, who see health care premiums rising 20% or more, and the destruction of the finest doctors and hospitals in the world. Do you see why people are searching at the abuse of power by their elected officials? According to a liberal CBS New York Times poll, a paltry 8% of Americans think members of Congress should be re-elected. They can't take this anymore. In fact, 75% disapprove of the high job false representatives are doing. Furthermore, in what was the lowest assessment of congressional incumbents in 18 years, the survey found that 81% of those surveyed said, "It's time to give new people a chance to represent them in Congress." The more we learn about the way Pelosi is running Congress, the more we see we're living in an oligarchy, not a democracy. This is why the Tea Party movement is ready to throw the bums out. They know the local undertaker could do a better job representing them than Madam Pelosi, a monarch of her own mind, who's hell-bent on passing a socialist agenda that doesn't resemble the America they know, the America they love, the America they must now fight to defend. From J. Crew to Screw You is the next is the next title here in the first chapter of Revolution Spring, which I'll read on the next tape.